Okay, John's going to have a presentation on cloud computing. Cloud.
Think so, huh?
I hope so.
It is cloudy.
But not right away.
Oh, okay.
Clouds are being blocked by the sun.
No, part of it is the added part of programs. Last month we did a review discussion about our web board, and I need to bring back to a discussion about the fact that we have a great resource that people aren't using. Dave DeRolf and I had a very good discussion based on last month's meeting. And only a few people actually even read it. And only one other person got in on the discussion. And Mary Frances and I have talked about how many times we have people who have questions and they just sit and get upset because they got a question that they don't know the answer to. And they could go to the web board, post a question, and have a whole bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about tell you the answer. At least that's better than nothing at all. So I don't know what we do, because web boards or web forums, different groups, that is your resource for free information. Taking it from Free John. I don't have any paid subscriptions to help centers, things like that, because just about everything out there has a web forum. There's a Windows web forum free. There's a Mac forum. There's Linux forums. Now, you could pay Microsoft to answer a question for you, but if you have a whole world full of Windows users who might have had the same problem or concern that you had, they'll give you answers for free. And with the web, it's not going to be a, please wait, we'll get back with you. It's almost instantaneous, because somewhere around the world somebody's got an answer and they do it back.
You might mention how they get to it. Maybe some people don't know.
Well, we did that last month, and we'll do it again, because, you can see I'm passionate about that.
Sign up for it.
Yeah, and it's a free sign up to our members, so it doesn't cost you anything. The only reason that we make you sign up for it is so that we don't have a lot of junk stuff come through. But to go to it, you just go to our website, which is lccsohio.org. You got to make sure you do the Ohio, because LCCS has already been taken. And right up here at the top, there's that button for web board. Normally it goes to the login screen, but because I've got mine so that it's automatic login, it won't show up. If it's the first time, you go to the registration page and you give us a username, your email address, and your real name, so we know who you really are. Because if we don't know who you really are, I'm not going to let you in, or Jim. Because one of the two of us has to, and if we don't know who you are, if you give us a fake name, we don't know. So once you get in,
Since we do have brand new people.
yeah, that's right, Mary Frances. Here's an example. This is our categories, and you can see that there are new postings in these two areas because of this neat piece of paper, and there's nothing right there. And if I scroll on down, that's the only place. But if we go down here, I think it was in this one. Your glasses don't read. Right. Here's the posting that was posted, and I didn't start it, but if you look over here at the side, we now have had, what number is that? I can't read. 15 people have viewed that, and there have only been 5 replies, and 4 of those replies were David and me talking back and forth. Now, hopefully, some of the other viewers may have learned something, but it would have been nice if somebody posted, oh, that makes sense, I learned something, this is good. But we have what we call lurkers, and the same thing for here. You can see that here was another posting, there was 1 reply, and about 13. Now, Vicki, how many members do we have?
171.
So, not even a 10th of membership even read that message. Mary Frances.
How are they finding their bonus word?
Well, if we go back to the home
No, I mean,
page.
if they don't come here,
We had 13 on this morning.
Go ahead, dear.
don't we have more than 13 people here that use the bonus word?
Well, we'd have to ask Jim how many free bonus tickets he gave out.
How would they know unless they got one?
But yeah, if we go and click on where it says bonus word, and there's the bonus word. Oh! 13, well, over the time that posting has been, and we've modified it, 13 people have replied, because Mary Frances said, you know, when you come here, let us know. Just hit the reply and said you were here, you saw it or something. But we did have 66 people over the last maybe a couple months have viewed that. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Dave Roush went back there 14 times because he couldn't remember the word. So that's 14 of those, but
John?
yes.
I'm confused as to what you were asking of us as to the bonus word. We go on to check what is the bonus word for today.
Right.
You want us to let you know that, yay, we've been here?
Mary Frances asked you to.
That was it said, put down, say, please tell us you were here, or something like
So,
that.
yeah, but anything that, are you asking that we do that then, Mary Frances, every time we?
No, she
No.
was that one
No,
time.
just a one time.
She said, you know, it'd be great if you would just click reply and say, hey, I was here. Just because we want to see that people really are seeing it and whatever.
Well, they wouldn't know the bonus word if they hadn't checked it.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of them will come around here and they'll ask.
Yeah, we have people who,
Yeah.
oh, I forgot to check. But what I'm just saying is bonus word would get you an extra ticket. But if you go through some of these postings that we've done, you might find the answer to a problem you've had that's been a burr in your hair for a while, and it's been there all along.
Okay, show us how we post that question. Wait, I don't see where you do that yet. Besides that, we can't see the screen.
You do it like we showed last month where you do your search. You search, if you're looking for a problem,
Okay?
you put in some keywords about your problem and see if there's any messages have been posted that have those words in it.
Right up there at the right-hand side where you have...
Right where it says search, yes.
And we ask that question there.
No. That's where you search to see if anybody has posted the question and maybe answers. If you have a question, you have to first decide which category does it go under.
Okay?
You know, we have all of these different categories, and notice how many people Nobody has clicked because they didn't think so. We now have a new category. If you want to know about cancellation changes and stuff, you come right there and hopefully the person in charge changes that. So, here's about the teaching program. If you have a question about the executive board, if you have a question about refurbishing, if you have a question about our parent group, ABSUG, here's all of our our help groups and SIGs, SIGs being special interest group, which people thought was not me. I can't be in a SIG because you have to have special interest. And so we've changed and called help desk because that's what you get. So there's all the different categories for that. And then we even have it where if you have a question about operating system, or if you have a question about software or hardware, or I was nice and gave Apple its own little category. I never go and check that one. So then you would come there. So let's say you have a software question. So you go to the software catalog category and you post a new topic. And just like an email, it looks just exactly like an email. You put a subject and you put your question and you post it. Mr. Roush.
Can you multiple category post with one entry?
No.
So you'd have to copy and paste in multiple categories if you don't know where to put it.
Right.
Or put it in the wrong one and we'll tell you it's the wrong place and move it for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that one.
So then once it's posted, and it looks just like an email message, then people come and see. And they come, for example, we're posting about free versus paid antivirus. So there's the first posting. And if you want to make comment about David's posting, you can either hit quote and have it repeat, what he said and then write about it, or you just hit the reply button, which goes to the end of the list, and make your comment. And these stay up here for a long time. There are some up here that are a couple years old because somebody might have a question to something. So there's what we've done. So we can go back and forth and discuss it. And it's easy enough that it just looks like an email program. So if you know email, I hit reply, and just like an email, you just put your subject. It's already in there if you're doing a reply. It's a new one. You type the subject, and then you just type it. You can have bold, italics, underline, colors, whatever, just like on an email or word processor. And then when you have it done, you can first hit preview to see if you like it. If you don't, you can modify it. And then you hit post, and it's up there for people to read and answer the question or get the answers to their questions. So, again, this is a service of the Licking County Computer Society for its members. That's why you have to register. Jane Doe can't come and read this. It's only for our members. You paid your dues, so that's a service you get. And I don't know if there's anybody here who would be willing to say, I did it and I got an answer for a problem I had. But it's there. And you don't have to go way far. And it's a great thing to do when it's freezing cold and icy and you don't want to go out and find an answer. But there's also other forums. So I would check on that. Any questions on that before we move to topic number 2 that needs to be brought up? Topic number 2. Mary Frances doesn't know I'm bringing it up because it's something that came up and I said, this has to be brought up. We have had at least, that I know of, that I've been involved with, at least 2 people who have had problems with false directed web things. Now what I'm referring to is we had somebody who had a problem with a printer and they needed to get help. So they did a Google for tech support for that printer. And we also had a person who needed tech support for an anti-software product. And they did a Google search for the tech support, which both people got. Came up and said, tech support, here's the number. Now, the problem is that most of companies and stuff, tech support goes to the pay people. And so if you pay, like for an antivirus program that's free and paid, if you do the paid one, you will get access to their tech support line, and you'll have either the direct email or their real number. But if I, Free John, would go, all I would be able to access is probably an email that says they might get around to it. So I don't worry about that. I go to forums and I post, information. But in these cases, a Google search or Bing search probably wouldn't have happened if they'd used DuckDuckGo. Up pops a link that says this is tech support. So the person looking for the printer called that number. The person who wanted the antivirus help called that number. And they got tech support, but they were not getting the tech support from that specific company. They were getting tech support from a business person or a person who will take tech calls, which means they've got these 3-ring binders, and if you call about printers and you say, I've got a Lexmark, they pull down the 3-ring binder that says, here's how you help somebody with the Lexmark printer. Or if you have an HP, we pull down the HP one. And they go through and try to help you. Or more likely, they are going to say, oh my goodness, do you see this? You've got problems with your computer.
Sure.
You've got real serious problems. No wonder your computer doesn't work or your printer doesn't work or whatever. You've got problems. And they'll even go so far as to say, look, let me show you this, because they'll ask you to let them, remote into your computer, and they will pull up. And the biggest trick, I'll tell you, is they will put up in Windows a thing called services. And there, I don't even know how many there are. We'll just say there's 100 different services that can run in Windows. Some of them run all the time. Some only run when they need to be. But most people don't know that. Now you do. Did you hear me say that? Some only run when they need to be. So what does this person do when they get you on there? They pull up that list of services and say, look at all these services that have been turned off. You've got a virus that are stopping your services.
Is that what you did?
And you're going, oh my gosh, I never knew. And so then they proceed to convince you that your computer is really messed up because, well, look at those services. Well, we can fix that. And so what ends up being, you don't have a problem at all with your computer. One, because they've got remote control, they've put a bug in, and now your virus program pops up and says, you got a bug. And the guy says, see, I told you, you've got problems. We can fix that. And they can even make it look as though they're doing something, because they can pull up a command line type thing, and they can make lines appear and go through like text things that make you think they're doing something, and they're off having lunch, and you're sitting there watching your computer and all these lines going up, and they've said, well, it'll take a couple of hours, but we'll do this. And so your screen is doing a lot of stuff that all they're doing is telling it to show text files, show this, report that. They are not doing a single thing to your computer because they're off eating lunch, and 2 hours later they'll come back and they'll pop up a message that said, successful. Well, that wasn't your computer program saying successful. They typed in successful, but you thought it was the program. And so then they send, well, this is after you give them the credit card, and they have then, therefore, spent 2 hours at $100 an hour service to you, and there was nothing wrong to begin with. So this phone number that you were calling, which said this is such and such tech support, has no connection, but it said it did because remember, anybody can put anything on the internet and say it and call it and do it whatever they want. And so somebody who's not a tech support person for Lexmark printers can make a website that lists their 800 number as tech support for Lexmark computers. And so you call them and they know, because they'll say something like, okay, which brand of printer do you need help with? Or they'll say, do you need printer help or whatever? And you'll say printer. Okay, and which model printer? And then they know exactly, and they go along with the story and make you think that they are the official one, but they're going to do all sorts of other stuff.
Are you saying this is on Lincoln County Board?
No, I'm saying this is when you do a Google search and you're trying to find an 800 number for tech support. Most of the time I'm going to tell you, you're not going to find a number that you can call. Because tech support is mostly given...
Our site, and they'll tell you, help you.
If you come to us, we'll try to help you. There is no guarantee,
Well, yeah.
but we'll try to help you. But what I'm saying is, I know of 2 or 3 incidents where somebody thought they were calling an 800 tech support for a specific, and it was just some Joe in his basement with stuff that made you think that you were talking to tech support, and they'll try to get you to do whatever. And I've worked with somebody who before said, they told me I have 400 and something whatever. And I said, are you running your antivirus program? Yep. I said, are you running your spyware and anti-malware program? Yep. I said, then you don't have 400 and something. Because if you did, your programs would have told you. But they're counting on you not understanding. Especially share with people. Windows services aren't always running. So don't get panicky if somebody ever tells you that your services aren't running, so therefore you've got a virus and whatever else. Some of them don't run until you need to. Your car does not run until you want to go somewhere. Then you turn it on. Same difference on here. Any questions or whatevers? That was a public service announcement from the Licking County Computer Society for the betterment of your computer usage.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that everything you just said, I fell prey to that a couple of months ago. I really did. And I had a guy that was going to fix my computer. Everything you said is what he did. I was so impressed because all the stuff was running. He told me it would take hours to fix it. And I just left the computer for hours. I think he wanted me to send him $145. And I think was in India, wanted me to send the money to somebody in Italy.
The same guy that called us.
Yeah. And I did it. I sent the $145, and a couple days later, Discover called us and said they were real suspicious of a second large amount of money that came through. Oh. And so we put a stop on that one. And unfortunately, I fell for it, and I realized later, and now everything you said is exactly what I was involved in. $145.
You don't recognize my voice, do you?
No, really, truly, unless you talk like you're from India, you were not that man.
Oh, I can do that. I was born there. I lived there for 4 years. So very good. I can talk in Indian. I can talk the dialect. So yeah, and the only reason I know about it is because I hang around this club for the last umpteen years, and when we do computer repairs and fixes, I learned years ago that Windows services don't all run all the time. But if you didn't know that, you would expect, I got my computer running, everything should be running. There are some other little tricks they try to tell you, but that's the biggest one, because they bring a screen up and it shows you stopped, running, stopped. Jim,
Yeah, I've been getting phone calls from foreigners or whatever saying that the ISP has told them that my computer has viruses and stuff like that, and they need to do something with my computer, and they'll show me and everything, and they want me to install this. It's like TeamViewer,
Yeah, it's
but
that
it's
new one.
ADBY or something. They said, go to this website, download it, and give me the numbers, that comes up. And yeah, as soon as you do that, they take over your computer and everything. So I talk to them for an hour or whatever. Yeah, if they want to talk, I'll talk to them.
The best one that I have for one of the students in my classes, when I told them about this, said that he was at his daughter's and took a phone call from somebody very similar to that said that,
Yeah.
I'm from Windows, I can tell we got to notice that your computer is sending out whatever stuff.
Yeah, they like to say Windows, not
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Yeah, they give them
say
trouble.
we're Windows.
But that's not the good part. The good part is that he went home to his house and got that same phone call. But you're laughing before the punchline. His computer at his house doesn't go on the internet. Figure that out.
How do you get that?
Yeah. Or the better one is if they try to call Ken or me or maybe Ira and said that your Windows computer is having problems and we're running Linux.
Yeah. Yeah, I told him that too. I said, my computers are Linux. They don't even know what Linux is. So.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows, but they're doing the same thing on these phone calls too. They're catching these roaming numbers, and they'll call you, and they're from overseas, and if you answer that call, they're going to charge you $20 or so.
Yeah.
And then if you talk to them, that's another $9 a minute. And your phone service will charge you for that. So if you get a daggone phone number you don't know,
Don't call back.
just ignore it.
Yeah.
Or it's going to cost you a fortune.
Anything else about that part?
It's freedom.
We're hoping that, my intent is that, yes, we have a program topic, but if something comes up, we're not going to wait a month or two to have something about that. We need to bring up issues. So if you have questions that come up, there is a place to post. And if we read one, Mary Frances, who is our program chair, might say, ooh, here is a question that we need to address at the next meeting. So even though, and I was going to tell everybody that Jim was going to do the 3 R's with us next week or next month, but it wasn't going to be reading, writing, and arithmetic. And even though we're doing that on his program, if Mary Frances would find out that there is something that comes up, we may say, okay, Jim, could you address this? Or Ken, could you address this? Or somebody do this before Jim's main program because it's something that we can't wait a month or so.
I got stuff that you heard with something that I hit accidentally, and this thing came up, and I have an awful time getting rid of it. So I went to add and delete, and finally found a place to get rid of it. But get this, my screen went blank, and it came up and said I had to do the 3-finger salute, and it would keep doing it over and over and over. And some nice people here helped me get rid of that.
Our recommendation, bottom line is, if you don't know, don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Yeah. Oh, I know the other one. I'm sorry. But this is better than my program anyway. I had another person who called me, because either they call Mary Frances, they call me, or something, I got to start passing the phone to somebody else. And they were concerned because they got a pop-up. And the pop-up, when they told me, of course, included problems with your computer, it used a word I had never heard before used in computer. It said your computer's got grime on it.
Got what?
Grime. Now,
Greasy grime.
when that refrigerator came in a week ago, you wouldn't believe it's the same one. Jim did a great job of getting the grime and grit off of that. And all the years, I've never heard, we talked about viruses and we talked about bugs, and I never heard about grind. I said, to me, okay, that's bogus, don't even, worry about that, void, whatever. Well, I said, okay, I've never heard of that. I did a quick Google and I got things about grind, dirt, and this stuff. I said, man, so I don't know everything. And I will tell you I don't. So I went to try to find somebody else that would answer that. And it turns out it's legit. There is a new program that is like a cleanup program, all-in-one virus, whatever, this and that, paid program, so you know who's not using it. And it deals with their nickname, Grime something. But it's legit. So I learned something, but until that, I would have avoided that with a big long pole because, what? Grime? Never heard of that term in our computer stuff. But now I know. So there's a program out there, legit. It's an okay program if you want to pay for something that's supposed to take care of junk and everything. But a lot of us have 2 or 3 programs that will do the same thing by themselves that this program you pay for does all together. So, all right, anything else? Oh, I'm sorry. Vicki, your hand was blocked by that light.
I just want to add one thing. I've had a computer now for over 14 years. I have never once called for any of the company assistance. I call a member in the club. If they don't know the answer, there'll come in another member who will. And my computer runs beautifully.
Forums are great. The trick is, and I'm learning to do it better, is how you word your search. Once you finally get the words right, then most of the time you get the answer back. And I have solved Windows problems and Linux problems that way that I've been able to fix, because I sometimes mess when I'm not supposed to. And but I didn't have to call and pay for tech support. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Topic for today was cloud computing. And we talk about storing stuff in the clouds. And everybody's going, if we're worried about raining cats and dogs, I don't want to be around when those computers in the clouds start to rain on me. Them can be heavy and stuff. Cloud computing is just a metaphor. It's words we use because it's easier to say that than trying to explain what I'm going to do about what cloud computing really is. It has nothing to do with clouds. But it's because we can't see it, we just say, it's up there. It's up there. The definition for cloud computing is a concept that involves a large number of computers connected through real-time communication, such as the internet. Okay? In the cloud refers to software platforms, computers, and infrastructure that are sold as a service. Could be public, private, or hybrid we'll talk about. What's interesting, and you'll probably say, amazing, cloud computing goes back clear to almost into the 50s. We're going, wow. I thought that was just something we talked about in the last couple years. But cloud computing has actually been around. It started out back in the 50s and stuff when they had those big mainframe computers. Everybody knows what a mainframe is. It's the one that fills this whole room up that we can now put in our, well, I don't know if our phones have as much power as what those mainframes did. And they were a fortune. I can't believe how much my first computer cost. I don't even know how I bought it back then when it cost so much. compared to what it is now. We built a very good computer for under $400 this year with our Build Your Own group. And I'm sure that the computer we were buying back then was into the thousands of dollars and couldn't even do it. So anyway, these huge mainframes that filled up a room and stuff, you couldn't afford those. Everybody couldn't afford those. So what happened was somebody who had a lot of money, either universities or governments or businesses, somebody had one and said, okay, David, I've got a big one. Would you like to use it? I can let you use it. Ken, I can let you use mine because I know you can't afford it. I can't afford it. I'm free, John. And so back then, people in remote areas had means by infrastructure, phone lines and stuff, in which they would connect at different times of the day and use these massive computers. And that's where those originally were called timeshares. And somebody could even, if they had the structure to get across the ocean, they could do it where, okay, at nighttime, American nighttime, like with the Olympics, Europe, somebody over there, you want to use this? I'm going to bed, but you can use it because nobody's going to use it at that hour. And then during the daytime, we can start out people on the East Coast. Well, you can have it from 8 to 10 in the morning. And Central Time, you can have it from 9 to 11 your time. And so we time share, just like the condos and stuff. 12 or 13 people own a condo, and they each share a week every quarter. So we had the timeshares back then with these massive, huge computers because we all couldn't afford those. Now, private cloud, if you hear that, refers to solely for a business or a company. Only the company uses it, and they may have their own big server, and all the employees connect to it, and they use that big, nowadays I'd call a network server. And that was their private one, but multiple people used it. So at your desk, you didn't have anything but a screen and a keyboard, and you were doing all your work on that machine, which nowadays we call in the cloud. You're in the cloud. A public cloud is one that you and I can access because it's free or it's open to people around here. Cloud storage, metaphor for the internet. It's not storing on your hard drive. You cannot officially call it cloud if it's on your computer. You officially cannot call it cloud computing if it's in your house. And there's a hard drive that's out there. It's called MyCloud or something. It's an external hard drive. But if it's in your house, it's not official cloud because the cloud computing is you're going somewhere using the internet, unless you're using the internet, to get to another location. Now, all of this stuff is housed in huge, huge buildings. And they have a nickname. They're called server farms.
What?
Server farms. Like a potato farm or a strawberry farm. Server farms. Now, I'm going to show you a couple pictures, if I can get them over here up. And let's see. Okay, first off, as we look,
That's massive.
this is, I'll show you the inside. The inside of one of these server farms consists of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hard drives, computers. This is just one row, and you can see on the left-hand side, there's one stack, and there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Could be 10 on each of those, going down through that.
Yeah, by the way, I read a statistics about the amount of electricity that all the servers and stuff
Yeah.
in the United States are using, it's about 2% of our total power usage.
That's only 2%.
Only 2%?
Wow.
That's a heck of a lot of electricity.
Yeah. Here's another picture just to show you the massiveness. These happen to be Google, the Google people. And here's another location where, thank you. If you look, you can just see that there's rows and rows and rows.
Where's all the monitors and keyboards and stuff?
No monitors, no keyboards. These are just like a hard drive that we are connecting to and transferring files back and forth. There's another example. This is another place, in another location, part of the country or part of the world. Just to show you, huge, huge, huge. If I go to the folder and show you another one, I can't remember now. One of these is Yahoo, and one's like Amazon. So here's another one, and take a look, right here, and you can see, and this is just one side of the row, and here's another side. Again, we're not up in the cloud. We're flat on the ground, but it's a facility that stores hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hard drives.
How's that run, John? Is there some people sitting there running it, or is it a robot running it? or-
Oh, there's a few people, but I don't know if I have the slide of the robot that works there.
Well, I hate to be the person that had to replace the light bulb on it.
Yeah. Okay, where we go? There's another one, and you can see if you start counting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's like 20 stacks, and there's this side, that side, the next side, the back side. So there's like 2, 4, 6 stacks, and that could be Amazon's place. There's another example. This is what the cloud is. It's actually just always computers. And I saw one picture that there is a robot that goes up and down these aisles as they need to change tapes, because then they back up. Because that's one of the things they do in the cloud. We put our stuff up there, but then they'll back our stuff up in case of emergency. So this robot goes down the line, pulls out this tape, puts new tape in, goes down the next one, pulls out. So yeah, they got robots working.
You mean tape?
And what?
Do you mean
He doesn't
tape?
mean tape.
Yes, I mean tape.
Magnetic tape.
Yeah, magnetic tape that we started in the beginning, we still use to back up stuff off servers. Here we go, just to show you 2 examples.
Huge.
This is one of Facebook's server farms. And all of this inside of here are probably rows and rows and rows of computers that are storing, those of you who do Facebook, all of your information. And if you look down here, you can see there's little vehicles down there, so you can see how big this place is. Here's another one, location. And some of them are trying to work to save what Evan was saying and using solar power to run things. But you can see how much they're using here. So all over the world, there are these buildings housing hard drives, and we, through the internet, can connect to them and store our stuff. So I'm sorry to break the news to you. There's no such thing as up in the cloud. They're not up there. They're down on the ground and all over the country. So stuff that you might be saving could be halfway around the world, depending on where they have room for your stuff. Now, couple of the concerns and questions. There we go. When you do your cloud storaging, the company that you connect with, they are in total control. You are no longer in control of your data because you sent it to them. So, one big question that is now being discussed among the philosophers is, who owns the rights to that information? Do you own it because you created it, or do they now own it because you gave it to them? So if you gave it to them, what can they do with it? Now, one thing that they are doing with it sometime is they're kind of scanning over what you got to see what they can use for sales pitches and feeding to you information. And why? Because, well, you're getting this for free, so we're allowed to suggest things to you. So there's a big issue about your stuff if you give it to them. Another concern is there is no controlling governing board over cloud storage. It's just like the internet. There is nobody in charge of the internet except for one company that's in charge of website names. To get lccsohio.org, we had to apply for that name so that there are two lccsohio.orgs. So there is one organization that is in charge of that naming. But other than that, like I said, anybody can put anything on the internet that they want. And there's nobody governing that. Mayor Francis, I had one over here first.
I was thinking Amazon, do a search on Amazon, and they're storing all this information in places like that, because I know that they send you information and, this is on sale. You did a search for it last week.
Exactly. So if you store stuff, they can kind of go through what your files, unless they're encrypted. Ken?
Not everybody will allow you to store encrypted.
Right, because they can't do that then.
Yeah.
So, you got some real issues. Mary Frances.
If I sit here and keep quiet, are you going to tell me how I can get on a cloud?
You can't get on a cloud. You can get off a duck, but you can't get... No, you can get down off of the duck.
Ubuntu One.
Yeah, we can do that. Yep, that's on my list. So there's no central governing body that controls what these companies can or can't do. So security and privacy is a real issue. Here's another issue that I thought of as I was driving, because I couldn't write it down. Are they going to be here tomorrow? How many of you are Time Warner cable customers? How many of you used to be Adelphia customers? Guess what, folks?
Comcast.
Well, I'm wondering if the government will let that, because you think they will? Huh?
It's been approved, yes.
They haven't had discussions on it yet.
The government, I read the paper Friday or Thursday that Comcast was allowed to buy out Time Warner.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet that'll get reversed, because that's number one and number two going together to make the most hugest group, and I think that the Congress will go back and fight on that one.
They think it will stay because they don't all serve the same geographical locations.
But now that Comcast has it all, who's to tell them what to do?
Or prices to charge.
Or prices to charge. So, cloud storage, will they be here tomorrow? And if a company goes out, what happens to all of your data? Will they wipe it all out? I can't imagine. I know how bad it is when we take computers here, how long it takes to wipe a hard drive to make it data wipe. I couldn't imagine wiping the tens of thousands of tens of thousands, I'm not even coming close. But
It's easier to smash them.
But how do you know that they went and smashed them?
Well,
Is that when you call them back up?
No, the stuff that you gave
No, I'm
them.
saying, is that why you back up your computer?
No, I'm talking about if you give them information and they go under, what do they do with the stuff that you gave
As
them?
long as you didn't.
They liquidate the hardware and you get it sold out.
Get sold out, but what about the information?
Right?
Do they? It's on the hard drive? Does somebody get all your private information? Yeah, issues. Okay. What is cloud storage? One or more external hard drives that you access over the internet from any computer and device. So that's what cloud storage is. It's a hard drive that you access over the internet because that way you go through the clouds to get to it. Like I said, if it's on your computer as a second hard drive like mine I have, that's not cloud because it's in my computer. If it's sitting in my house, it's not cloud because it's in my house. The true cloud is that you are going to a location off-site and storing your information.
So you're saying, John, you don't use Dropbox or any of that?
I do, but with
Why would you
nothing.
worry about it? That's why I can't understand why you would worry about it, because you don't put anything on there that you don't want on there.
But that's just me. But there are some people that back up everything. It's a place to back up files or to share files, which is kind of a good. A number of us use the Dropbox so that we can share files, and there are a number of other things other than what's Dropbox. Ken has a site that he can store some stuff that I can access for information. You know, it's not bad, but you just got to make sure. There are free and paid. Free usually limits how much you can, and so the more you pay, the more you can store. Now, Mary Francis's question. There are a number of different cloud source or cloud services. And I'm not going to go into the detail of how you can do every one of them because it's like with the cell phones. We can talk about cell phones, but I can only really talk about a Motorola Droid Ultra phone, because that's the one I use, and so I might be able to answer questions. But if you ask me about an iPhone, I'll say, well, you know, it's a phone, it does certain things. So I'm not going to get into real big details about specific how-tos on websites. We might cover a little bit of stuff between here. But just to give you an example of services, we have the big services. Amazon has a cloud service that you can store your stuff on Amazon. Apple has farms that you can store, but mostly you have to be an Apple person to store Apple. However, if you have an Apple device and a PC, then you can make your PC connect to the iCloud through iTunes or something like that and be indebted to them. Dropbox, and another one that's very similar, confuses people, called Box. And I didn't have it listed, but a third one that's called Boxy. All different storage things. Another one of the biggies, Google, has storage that you can put stuff up. Microsoft has a server farm that you can put things on.
Sky something.
Yeah, it's called SkyDrive for the present, but it's changing it. They got a lawsuit, and Microsoft lost again. Somebody overseas had the word Sky in the middle of their company name, and so they were able to go to court and convince the court that their, and I remember it was something like B Sky 2 or B something Sky. Sky was the middle word. And they were able to convince the judge that Microsoft calling their SkyDrive would be a problem. So Microsoft will be changing it to OneDrive. because that's their favorite. They have OneNote, and now they're going to have OneDrive.
And there's another company that gives part of that name already too.
Well, that's probably us, because there is another major serving place called Ubuntu One. And Ubuntu One. Now, you might say, wait a second, I've heard Ken and John and Ira talk about that. That's a Linux thing. Well, it is, but you can do it on a PC. So I can have a Ubuntu One account and access it through my Linux, and you're looking at Linux today. And I can go home to my Windows and I can share those files because Ubuntu One works cross-platform. We have another one called iDrive. Sounds a lot like Google Drive, but it's iDrive. We've got one called Mia Media, SugarSync, Spider Oak.
I've had that.
Strange name. Let's see, did I skip any of those? Now, these are all examples of cloud services that may be bigger than others. You know, of course, Amazon and Microsoft and Apple and Ubuntu is pretty big. And some of them might be smaller. And some of them are ones I'd never heard of before. Some of them have been around for a long time. And so what you would do is you would go and sign up. And when you do for free, just to show you what examples you get, with Amazon Cloud Drive, you get 5 gigabytes of free storage that you can put whatever you want up there. If you sign up for Amazon Cloud Player, you can store 250 songs. What that means is that I can listen to them on this laptop, I could listen to them on that computer, or I could go back to Juanita's and listen to it, because I connect to the cloud and I can listen to my music. Apple iCloud, you get 5 gigs, but you also have to be using Apple software and stuff. It's mostly for, somebody was just telling me that it backs up their phone contacts and stuff like that, and it can also, through iTunes, transfer files from one device to the other. But to get much more, you have to buy their software, and then if you buy the software, you get more storage. Box is about the biggest one. You get 10 gigabytes free. Dropbox, you start out with just 2. But if it's just using Dropbox for text files and things, not bad. Google Drive 5, iDrive 5. Now, iDrive also has a sync program. Now, sync is a little bit different. With sync, the 2 locations make sure they match. If I put something up there, it makes sure it's down here. If I put it down here, it goes up there, and it syncs together. If it's just regular, I put it up there. So iDrive has another service, Sync. SkyDrive or Microsoft OneDrive, you get 7 gigs. MyMedia, you get 7 gigs. SugarSync 5, Ubuntu One 5, Spider Oak 2. That's only the beginning. And I have done this. If I have my Dropbox and I send an email to David and said, David, best thing since sliced bread, get Dropbox so you can store in the cloud. David goes and gets it. He gets his 2 gig. I get a bonus for him signing up. And for everybody I get to sign up, I get a little bit more. So you can get up to 16 gigs of storage space if you get that many people to sign up through your invitation. And a number of them have that same thing, so you can get more. Now, all of these, or most of these services, all have paid versions. So if you want more, you can pay and have even more storage space. But here's what FreeJohn does. I have a Dropbox account. I have a Google Drive account. I have a SkyDrive account. I have a Ubuntu One account. I think I still have a Spider account. I got to go back and check on that. I'm going to probably go get my Sugar Sync. And I might even go get an Amazon Cloud Drive. So you add all that up, and I've got a lot of free storage space. Now my problem is I'm going to have to organize what goes where. Mary Frances.
Could you help me out?
No.
To understand with the paid ones?
Yeah.
What is the difference between a paid cloud and then the word Carbonite? I only have heard about Carbonite.
Well, I just educated you and said Carbonite's only one of 20.
One of 20.
And it is only paid.
But it is a cloud.
I was going to get to that later, but FreeJohn doesn't talk about that stuff until there's nothing else left to talk about.
Okay, so Carbonite is just a cloud storage.
Absolutely, but it's there's no free part to it.
Okay.
So, for example, with Sugar Sync, no, I didn't do that. Sugar Sync, if I get people to join, I can go up to 32 gigabytes. No, but I've got to get you. Now the problem is, most of us have the same clientele, so we'd all be going after the same people. So you have to go elsewhere. So let's say that I, with Dropbox, want more than the 16 I've gone out and gotten. And I think you have to get probably about 30-some people to sign up to get to that 16, because you get maybe 500 megabytes at a time. So you gave me 500, you give me 500. So it takes a while to get to 16. I want more. I can get to their paid service and have more storage for that. Okay, Mary Frances wants to bring up Carbonite.
What?
Carbonite. And most people who know, what's her name? She's been hawking that.
Kim Command.
Yeah, Kim. Kim's been hawking that site and among others. And it was one of the early ones, but it's a paid one. And their thing is they have unlimited storage. However, there's fine print. So when you go to read it, you'll find out that what you think is unlimited, it's not really unlimited. But for the most part, for the average user, you can store a whole bunch. Now, they charge $60 a year. So every year, you give them $60 to continue storing your stuff. Oh, that's the other thing. What happens if a company that you've been storing goes out of business and the new one says, you want your files, you're going to pay me to get rid of them or give them back to you? Okay, so Carbonite lets you, for $60 a year, back up. But it's only files. When you listen to the ads, they talk about backing up your whole computer, and you're thinking, oh, good. When we talked about our backup stuff, and we're going to be probably reviewing that May. I got an idea for April. There is the image backup of your operating system and the backup of your files. Carbonite lets you, for $60 a year, back up your files. For another $40 a year, total of $100, they will do what Ira's doing, backing up his computer image. So for $100 a year, it'll be all your files plus your whole operating system, so that if your computer crashes, you can reinstall it. We do that here with a external hard drive. We've got the image on there, so we can bring these back to life. But let me ask you this question. You say, well, that sounds pretty good. Back up my operating system. You got to go to the internet to get it. If your computer crashes, how are you going to get on the internet? I had to go, when I was doing one of these computers to rebuild it, I had to go to my computer and download the internet drivers, the network drivers, to put on that computer, but not until after Windows was back on. So I'm going, so how does this help me by having my image on Carbonite when I can't get to Carbonite? So I'd save the $40 and back it up like Ira's doing to an external drive that you have. But it takes a long time. I'll warn you in advance that and Carbonite doesn't sound bad because you are storing it off-site. Those of us who have external hard drives and we backed up our data to our external hard drive, if the house burns down, we probably lost our backup. We have somebody that I'm working with who has their computer, and inside the computer is a backup drive. So they've got all of their important pictures and stuff backed up. That's good. But the whole computer died. Both drives. So a lot of good her backup does. If she had a backup that was external, if the computer dies, the computer dies. It didn't do anything to that hard drive. But again, in a fire. So the next best solution would be I back up my stuff to a hard drive, give it to Ken. Ken backs up his stuff, gives it to me. His house burns down, I've got his files safe. Or opposite. Yeah. But Carbonite takes a long time, and you'll know why, because how many of you have ever uploaded something to the internet from home? When you download, it goes but if you've ever tried to send up something, it goes because when we buy our internet, we get to buy lightning speeds coming to us, but we get the slow boat to China going up. So think of trying to send all of your data files up that small little road to the internet. I've heard people say it takes a number of days to get your first backup. Then Carbonite is smart enough to say, okay, we'll check your computer compared to what we have. If there's something new, we will just take it. We're not going to bring back everything, because if it's old, it's right here. We don't need to bring it back. Anybody using Carbonite? You're using it, aren't you? Sometimes, do you?
No.
Okay. Somebody was, in the club was using it, and it's not too bad. Mary Frances, another question?
Thank you. No.
Okay. So anyway, you have your choices. You can go sign up for a number of these places, and maybe, I forgot, Ira, what's the one for the pictures that lets you do a whole bunch? Is it the Shutterfly one?
Is it Flickr?
Or Flickr, yeah. One of them. There's a place that lets you put hundreds of...
It's a 1 terabyte.
Yeah. You can put a terabyte of pictures up there. Now, it's going to take a while if you have a terabyte to get up there.
I don't know what you do with a terabyte anyway. John's talking.
Yeah. But these are nice. My son has a Dropbox account. And he takes pictures of my grandson, who's 2,000 miles away. And he can upload those to his Dropbox. I am connected to a shared folder, and I see the pictures on my computer. Yep. That's pretty nice, because I've got access that he doesn't have to send it. He just puts it up and it automatically comes down to me. Fills up. Jim?
I do the same thing. My phone is connected to Dropbox automatically. Any picture I take uploads to Dropbox in a shared folder, like my foreign exchange student over in, she's in Japan now, but she can look at any picture I take. And with Samsung, they had a promotion, and they gave me 48 gigabytes until January of 2015. That's a promotion. So if I took a picture, of a crime or something or whatever, they can take my phone. It doesn't matter. It's going to be on the Dropbox. It's going to, And that's pretty nice. You don't have to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to upload, I'm going to do this, or what. It's automatically uploaded. And I think that's a beautiful feature of these phones.
But be careful and don't take one of those nasty pictures.
I know.
Phew, it's gone.
Jim also has it on Facebook. I can see his grandchildren on Facebook too.
Yeah, Facebook is a cloud storage.
Yeah.
You know, I showed you their one of their places. And so people store and send pictures to that server and give permission for other people, you know, to look at it. So, you know, the cloud storage, you know, does have some good features to it, but there are still some, you know, issues about who's reading your stuff and who's got control and what are they doing with that.
Well, usually they ask your permission.
Well, they should, shouldn't they? Those of us who've been around a while, we learned you ask permission, please and thank you, but Ken.
That permission is like a model release, and if you, in your late teens, you're of age, you sign a model release and you do some almost nude pictures, and 5 years later they show up in a magazine and you're upset as the model, thinking that these would never go public. Too bad, you signed a model release. It's the same thing when you release your photos to Facebook or any of those. They can use those pictures.
You know, they just caught somebody on Facebook.
And you know, we're hoping that if we store important documents or whatever for backups, that information is staying inside of our file. But you know, you don't know. I probably will put a PDF file on the web forum with links to, I have them to all of those different places. I'll close this one out.
John Kennedy,
Yeah.
at the top of the little piece of paper, everyone probably received, it tells them that this little piece of paper only mentions executive and general membership meetings, and everything else they need to know, they can go to www.lccs.org.
Good.
Everybody has a piece to take home.
I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 links, and I'll put them on a PDF so that they're, if you want to go and check out more information about Amazon's cloud or SugarSync or one of those, that you can go to the website or the forum and click and go in. And there's no limit to the number that you can do. I don't have all of those done, but the trick is that you got to remember what files you're putting. So you might decide, okay, my documents are going to go here, my pictures are going to go here, my music's going to go here, and I can, farm it all out and stay free. Or I can say, I want to buy. The iDrive, I wrote that down. Where did I write it down? iDrive for 150 gigs is about $25 a year. Now that's $2 a month. For 150, I get 5 for free. So, you might say it's worth $25 to do 150 because maybe I only use 100. So I could pay iDrive $25 a year to store it, or I could pay Carbonite $60 for unlimited, but I only have 100. So think about that. 100 for 60 or 125. Other questions?
That's pretty good.
Okay, let me just add, because Mary Francois, I'll know she'll ask this. A number of the programs are web-based. So I go to their website and I click the button that says upload files, and then I use my window or my file explorer, find the files I want and upload them. That's the way I do with Walgreens. When I want them to pick pictures, I upload the pictures. Some of the services let you install an application. Like Dropbox, I can do it web-based, or I have a folder, Dropbox and SkyDrive, which is Microsoft. Put a piece of application on, I now have a folder. So if I just drag pictures into that folder, they automatically go up. I don't have to upload because I put them in the Dropbox, they go up, and that. The same thing if my son puts pictures in the Dropbox that I'm connected to, which is different than my Dropbox, it automatically comes down to my computer. So it's very, very easy. I just either upload through the web or drop them into a folder that shows up right on mine. It would show up if since this is the laptop, I don't have the Ubuntu One set up on here, but I probably would be able to have a folder that says Ubuntu One. So anything I put in that folder goes up to the cloud storage. On my Windows computer, it has a Google Drive folder and a Microsoft folder. And so I just drop into that and they automatically go up. I just want to make sure, because I knew somebody would ask that about how to do it. But like I said, every one's a little bit different.
Got a stupid question.
Nope, not here.
You were saying you store all these things when you have more room. Is it RAM that you're storing, or?
I'm storing files on somebody's hard drive.
Right. But what advantage is it?
In case something happens to my computer.
Oh, I got you.
And I, do it. Now, personally, what I do, I don't do that much cloud. I share cloud. I back up to a separate hard drive, and then I back up to an external.
Yeah.
And if I was smart, I would then do a third one and give it to David or give it to Ken, so it's off my property.
Well, fortunately, I had a external hard drive, and when
right.
The last time that happened with me, I only had to go back to November.
Good, yeah.
So that was saved.
Yeah.
Reminder about access from any point.
Oh yeah, if you're doing it the web version with Dropbox, I can get on here and I can pull up my grandson's pictures here on the web.
Her computer does not have to be running.
No, because she stored them on the server, the cloud server, and so she could come here and connect. Ken does that with us all the time. He has a service that stores web addresses for links. And he comes here, he goes to the web, connects to it, logs in, because it's password protected, and here at the center, he can access those files. I can access my SkyDrive, I can access Dropbox, I can access Google Drive. One advantage with the Google Drive and the OneDrive, I'll start calling it that, is that in addition to storage, they also have applications on their server. So I can go to the Google Drive and have access to a document program, a spreadsheet program, a presentation program, and over the internet, working on their computer, I can create a presentation or a spreadsheet, whatever. The same thing happens at Microsoft. I can go to Microsoft's storage, and I also have access to a stripped down version of Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So I don't even have to have my computer. I can access those programs and create with that.
So it's the same thing as having your own personal server, Mary Ann?
Almost. The only difference is I don't have any control of what's going on. Mary Frances?
Vicki and I went to a genealogical society meeting about a week ago, and the presenter couldn't say enough about paid version of Dropbox, because she travels all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And all she needs to do is get on the internet and access her reference information in her Dropbox.
Yeah, and the difference for her is that she needed more storage.
Yeah.
And she didn't go to all of her friends and say, sign up so I can get the bonus. But that's what you need to do. Free John always tells people, try out the free, see what it has to offer you, and if it doesn't meet your needs, then pay for what does. And so you go to Dropbox, see how much they give you, how much do you need, and then you're, willing to pay, more for that. That's the whole bottom line. But it does. It makes it great because who was it? Oh, wait.
Not me.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
You did.
your daughter. You told the story about her losing her for her presentation. No, wasn't it you?
Lynette Ken, and your daughter.
Yours. Okay, Ken, share that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it involves Linux, of course.
Yeah.
My daughter travels around the country and she sells insurance. So she was in Atlanta and her company issued computer crapped out and gave messages about the videos, something about the video driver on Windows. So she calls me at 10 o'clock at night and she's got a presentation tomorrow morning and she said, "Dad, what shall I do?" And so I said, well, the only thing I can think of, well, it wasn't about 10, it was about 8 o'clock when she called with the problem. I said, well, she was in Atlanta, she was kind of in one of the better ends, and I said, if there's a Barnes & Noble nearby, go buy a Linux magazine that's got a disc in it. A lot of them come with a DVD disc in them. So she gets the magazine and the disc, and I said, pick up a thumb drive while you're out. So she comes back to her computer and she throws the Linux disk in, starts the machine, and luckily the hardware was not broken. It was the Microsoft software that was broken. So the disk was able to come up and run and give her a full computer with LibreOffice. So she was able to recreate her documents, get her email, and recover her stuff for the next day using that Linux disk. So the next day she called, she said her presentation went really well, and she said, and I will never leave home without a Linux disk and a thumb drive.
But accessing the internet got her email, and of course, your email service, whether you're using Windstream or Roadrunner, A-Link, they all have a server based for their web. Even Gmail, it's on a server. We know the Google. So she was able to use the internet, go to that stored information that wasn't on her computer, and retrieve. And that's one of the things that Google does. It makes it so that you can access your mail and your files and stuff because it's Google Drive and has all of that. But that's another indication of something stored on a cloud that she was able to get from not at home and with a little bit of work because she didn't have the most up-to-date copy. But hey, that was good enough. Any other questions? I know there's some, so that you can always go and the forum and post a question about clouds or something you want to know more about, and one of us will answer that. I would recommend getting a 1 or 2 cloud services for the. Oh, another one we didn't mention that we've gone to conferences. Evernote.
Yep.
Evernote is a cloud service, but mostly it's for notes. But it also will store pictures, and I think now we can take your phone because my phone, because it's a smartphone, connects to the internet, so I can connect to Google Drive with my phone, OneDrive, Dropbox, like Ken said, Evernote, all of those I can connect to with my phone. So anything that I put in Evernote from the computer at home, I can get here. So I would think that that's good because if you're traveling or somewhere, my wife always says, show them the picture of Joseph. And I'm going, it's on the computer at home. And she doesn't get happy because she knows that I can put it so where we can get it. Ken?
If you're traveling and you have an argument with your hotel and you have scanned your reservations and put them on your Dropbox, you can call that file up on their computer, print it out, and hand it to them.
Yeah.
We had to do that.
Yeah. Last quick thing, if you look up here, just, I may try to remember to put this image up. You can see where it talks about the iCloud, the cloud, Amazon, 5 for free, but for 50 gigs, it'll cost you $25 a year. Okay, or more. If you go down to Dropbox, 2 gigs, but you for $9.99 a month, which is $100 a year, you can have 100 gigs. Oh, thank you. So this gives you an idea. Google Drive, you get 5, 20, or is that 25? For $250 a month, or I can go to 200 gigs for 5. So there's always, the whole idea is they give you something for free to make you want to buy something more. That's it. Microsoft gives you the 30-day trial for Office, and you get to use it. Oh, I like this. Okay, you like it so much? Now pay us for it. A lot of the freebies are that way. They let you have it for free to try it out, and then they hook you. Or they'll give you a little bit, and you really like it, and you want more. Anything else, Mayor Francis?
I don't know, I think the class is starting to wiggle. Maybe we should.
We should.
Maybe we should.
We should. Okay, nobody else has got their hands up, so you all are experts. Next month, you will then be reporting to all your individual clubs and giving this presentation on clouds. Next month, the 3 R's: reuse, refurbish, and recycle. That's going to be a good one.